Hello Flosstube, my name is Kristen, and if you are new here, this is a channel about my experiences with my cross stitch, and if you are returning, I appreciate you coming back to spend some time with me. Today is October 1st, so this is a recap of what I stitched on in September. I'm also going to show you how I finally finished getting up waiting for ships. I have one finish. I'm going to do a Christmas giveaway. I'm going to do it now so that hopefully I can get it to the recipient by Christmas, and then I'm going to getting ready to try to figure out what 26 of my projects for 2026 I'm going to stitch on. I split my projects up into 10 groups, and I'm going to spin the wheel to pick 3 of the groups today. I'll do that towards the end, so if you're not that interested, you don't have to watch. What I'll do is I'll spin the wheel, and then I'll magically go away and then come back and show you what I chose. So let's just show you my finish. So I finished Mirabilia's, sorry, I got too many things in my lap, Australian Retreat Dragonfly. As you know, if you've seen me before, I've been struggling with this one. Once I finally decided to switch out the beads, I had been using the called for beads, but I'm using not the called for flosses, so it just wasn't, I wasn't enjoying it. They weren't fitting, the colors didn't look right. So I ended up using these Iris Blue Delicas. And once I finally got on a roll, I just finished it. I'm about 80% happy with it. I don't love my back stitching, but it was an experience. I learned some things, so it's done. I may play with potentially in the future buying the called for water lilies, and because I have all the called for beads, and all that. So I might do it again because I do love dragonflies. But for now, we're just going to stick that in the drawer with some of my other finishes. And so I had been kitting up waiting for ships, which is this one. It got really dark in here as soon as I started to record, so I'm sorry. I hope everything's light enough for you to see. And I got a fabric, and I was buying all the flosses, and then I was just looking at her hair. And her hair is very, just like one dark color and then some lighter color swirls. So I thought I would play with maybe getting some variegated floss to do in place of that darker color. So I got 2 choices. One is Espresso Bean by the Gentle Arts, which is quite a bit darker than the color that's called for in that area, which is this one. Then I also bought Weeks Dye Works Tatanka, which is a little closer, and it's very subtle variegation. These are not dramatic. So I posted in one of my groups, what people's opinions were on that. And somebody gave me the idea that instead of just swapping out the darker one and then using that lighter one, to maybe use them both. So I'm going to do Espresso Bean in the sections that called for just that solid darker color. And then I'm going to use Tatanka to go into where the lighter swirls were. So I think that would be cool. I'm kind of excited to try that. And then I did get a piece of Picture This Plus Twilight Opalescent 28 count Lugana, which is, it is a little bit darker than I thought it would be. I had a little sample piece that was a little bit lighter, but I think it's pretty, and I got the flosses out to show you. I think it's going to look pretty. These are her colors. And I have almost everything. The only thing I'm missing is one metallic, but I've ordered it and I'm just waiting for it. And it becomes in stock. And then I did, so those are the beads. I don't know if you can see this. It calls for these really dark blue treasures that she's holding here. And then I think there was another one up in there. That I just found the dark blue, at least on this picture, to be a little bit jarring, so I actually ended up getting like a amethyst purple, because there's some purple tones in her tail, and I thought that would look nice. Oh, I think I swapped out those other, I forget what they're called, the crystal treasures. I forget what the shape's called, but anyway, I also got amethyst for those, so I mean, her metallics are kind of greenish and gold, and then I think there's like a lighter green that's coming. So the DMC was starting to eke up in price, and with all the shipping stuff with tariffs and whatnot, it doesn't really make much sense for me to do a CXC order, because I think with the extra tax, it's going to not be, it just won't make any sense. So I'm trying to just sneak away at some of the DMC. Okay, so September was my month of ink circles. 3 were whips and 1 was a new start. I'm just going to pull them out of the packet here. And some of this I did get some stats for. So this is Elemental Dragons Earth, which I did 855 stitches on. And I am doing it on 18 count Jade Picture This Plus with Weeks Dye Works Onyx. So that brought me up to 57.57%. I got quite a bit done on this one. Oops. I have just got, there's just flosses hanging everywhere. And I'll put somewhere, I have the picture of the progress I had done previous. Oops, and there's threads hanging here. I'm pretty sure I filled in this whole corner, I think is what I did. That's a little bit truer of a color there, kind of more of a green. That looks more like a blue. I was happy with that. I almost thought about putting this one in as my new monthly focus piece, but I just recently did it in circles. So. Then I also worked on Elemental Dragons Water. It's hot in here. Goodness, I can get on. I'm getting all pink. And I did 648 stitches on this one on 18 count. It's an 18 count from Chromatic Alchemy. I don't remember the name of it, but you can't get it anymore. So, and then we did Weeks Dye Works Peacoat. And that was the progress that I did. So I'm pretty sure I got this dragon in. I find these kind of relaxing to stitch on. I like them. I only have these little ones, these Elemental Dragons. I have been eyeballing some of the bigger ones. And I have one other one. I have it. It's coming. It is Elemental Dragons Air. This one I did 751 stitches on this one. And this is also on an 18 count Chromatic Alchemy with Weeks Dye Works Eggplant. And it's funny, I've done a center start on all of these, but somehow I managed to migrate up to this corner, which I think I've done on all of them. So I'm pretty sure I did a lot of that top corner. The variegation on this floss is a lot more noticeable than the others. This one doesn't come up true on the camera ever. It's a really nice pale purple. And then why I decided to do this, I have no idea, because I struggled so much with the beads on the dragonfly that I decided to do a beaded. Oh, you know what I also did? I started this twice because I struggled with my beads on the dragonfly. I thought I would try to make it easier for myself and use a 14 count Ada that I had. That was just this, I forget what it's called. It's just something I got from Joann's when they were closing. It's got like blues and a little orange, that would be yellow, blues and some yellow in it. But I did not like the way the beads were, which reminds me I need to pull them out. They were like kind of loose, like there was almost too much space. So I started it on this. This is what it's going to look like. Sorry, I should have showed you. So it's the Fleur de Lis. And I am using, not Caribbean blue. Did I write it down? Capri Blue Delicas. So what I ended up doing, which was my original plan anyway, was to do it on a 28 count Lugana from Picture This Plus in the color, is it Ren? Ren. And I'm doing this one on paper, so I can't tell you how many I did, but I kind of like the sparkle. I mean, they're certainly not perfect, but they're definitely sitting a little bit neater than they were on that other 14 count. I realize that 28 count over 2 is kind of the same, but I think because it's hand dyed, I think it's a little smaller because it has some shrink involved when they dye it. So that's where I got on that one. I think it's kind of cool. That's why I have those blue iris delicas that I use for the dragonfly, because I was at one point considering doing just some contrast color in some of the little sections, but when I took them out, I didn't like the way they looked with this, so I'm just going to go for the solid color because it's solid but not all at the same time. So that is my new start. Those were all my ink circles, and then obviously I finished my dragonfly, and then I worked on my other monthly focus piece, which is Outlander, which I just took off the Q-Smart last night. I'm starting to have a little bit, I'm going to keep stitching on it until the end of the year. I've used it for my focus piece for the whole entire year, so it's got, I don't know how many stitches it's got since the beginning of the year, quite a few. I'm just having, so I'm doing this, let me show you the picture. I'm doing this one on 28 count, 2/1 half cross using CXC. And I like CXC. I have a lot of CXC. It's getting pretty tight. So I also, you know what I also did get? This is a side note. Tilton Crafts she was releasing some previously retired charts for a limited period of time. And I always liked the Titanic chart that she had, and anytime anybody posted, I was like, oh, I'm sorry that I missed that one. Of course, that was one of the ones that she re-released. So I bought it. And I don't have a cover sheet, but I'll put a picture up here somewhere. I also need another full coverage chart like a hole in the head. So I thought, well, what I might do for this. So I might actually do an order of CXC, depending on how much it's going to cost me for the shipping. I was thinking 2/1 half cross on 28 is starting to get a little too thick, that I might try, as much as you guys know I don't really love 32 count, I might try to go to 32 count and do 1/1 half cross so that I can try to finish it in my lifetime. But anyway, I digress. So this is my Outlander, and I got 776 stitches, which brought me up to 15.45%. So I got a little bit more done in her eye. Let me just fold this over. I got a little bit more done on her face, and then I started to work in here, and then my frustration level got a little bit higher, so I just went, last night I just did a bunch of the border. Because I'm not going to show you the back because it's a disaster, but it's thick. Like, I just got tired of trying to, when I was trying to do the space around her eye, there's just so many, one color, a couple stitches here, one stitch there, and it was just starting to get harder to push it through, and anyway, that's why I kind of, jumped ship and went over here. All right. So we'll see, because I don't even know if that one's going to get picked for being one of my 26 of 2026. So, obviously, I'm going to stitch on that next month. I've also decided to pull out and use this, at least for the remainder of the year anyway, something that I stitch on every month, which is going to be the Rogue Dragon, which when I was a member of the, Patreon. I was a member of that, so I got some of those charts, which I almost wish I stayed a member because it was another dragon, I think, recently. So I am doing this one on 28 count Lugana in the color Sprite from Picture This Plus. So this is where I will be starting. I think I'm taking this one out once or twice, and honestly I can't tell which way it goes, but anyway, that's where I am right now. So I'm going to I might start working on that because I just finished the month with Outlander, so I might take this out for a little bit because it's going to be a whole month of full coverage because I'm doing Heaven and Earth designs. Which brings me to show you my Heaven and Earth designs. So I am going to work on this one. You've seen, if you've been watching me, you've seen this one a lot. This is John Shannon's Mini Day Night. This is 1/1 full cross on 25 count. And I didn't write down any of the stats, but this is I am right now. This is the most progress I have on any of my full coverage charts. If I was smart, I would start to kind of come back up in here and try to pull this across, which I think is what I might do when I take it out. And then I also have Amy Stewart's Quick Stitch Phantom of the Opera. Like I said, it's a quick stitch, but it's still like 350 by 330, so it's really not small. And I'm also doing this one on 28 count, 2/1 half cross. And this is the only project I've ever started in the upper right corner. Again, not sure why I did that, because there's a lot of I always say petite treasure braid in the corner over here. So it's, I don't know, I think I was trying to get to the chandelier or something. This was a birthday start quite a few years ago, and I don't know what I was thinking. I guess I wanted variety. And then we have Hold True by Adele Sessler. This is my only quote-unquote full-size Heaven and Earth design. And this one is really, it only has 29 colors. So that drew me to it a lot, and I just thought it was really cool. Unfortunately for me, stitching without a grid is not really a great thing for me, because I make mistakes. I'm just going to focus this way. And I know I stitched the edges wrong, but I'm not going to do it again. So. Now you can't quite tell I'm out all the way to here. But that's like a really light, I don't know if it's like one of the 20-something colors where it's really pale. I think it's like a really pale, almost like a pale purple, but you can't see it. So I do have it out to there. So I'm still in background. And did I say I'm doing a 1/1 full cross on that one? Because I am. Then I'm also going to work on John Shannon's Mini Night Day. So I'm doing this one also on 25 count, so it matches the mini day night. This I do not have that much progress on, so it will be kind of nice to spend some time on this one. And that's where I am right now. Before Pattern Keeper has, now it has a little red dot right in the middle. So my newer full coverage charts I've been starting in the center, because I feel like you get to the good stuff earlier. But that's why all of these I started in a corner, because I didn't want to take my chances trying to find the center before, because I'm me. So that is my stitching plans for October. And now I'm going to have you guys choose what you want me to stitch on in November. So the choices are going to be, I got 3 groups. One, I pulled out some of these last time, I'll show you again, or I just been calling them the one-timers for now, but they're charts I've only had out once. And then I also have a Mirabilia month of just the ladies. And then I thought, well, it's a little crazy but I figured next year I'm only going to be working on 26 projects at a time. So I thought maybe I would do like a new start November. So I pulled out some charts for that I haven't started yet. So, so if I did new starts, I have to find them all. What did I choose for that? These are a couple that I chose for new start November. So if you wanted me to do some new charts, it would be Mirabilia's Tree of Hope, which I actually chose a, oh, I think I have, let's sneak it out here. I've got my little dowel of fun stuff here. I actually am going different than the called for, and I'm going with a darker fabric. And this isn't Twilight too, is it? I think this is Mystic. This is Mystic 28 count linen, which I guess that's probably pretty close. Sorry, it gets so dark in here. It's not great for the, and I'm going to lose some of my little flosses. Let me stick them back on here. Those are their colors. I have not bought the beads for this yet because I'm not totally convinced that I want to do the beads yet. I don't know. I figured I would just fully stitch it and then see if I thought it was missing. You know, I might do some matching floss colors instead. There's just a lot going on in that chart, and I thought maybe the beads weren't necessary, but there's 4 water lilies. So those are the water lilies. So that would be part of my New Start November, as well as this cute little chart that I got for Christmas. This is from my Big Toe Designs, and it is He First Loved Us. So this is We Love Because He First Loved Us. And I do have all the called for. Sorry, I should have opened these up. I'm going to crinkle. Sorry. Because I know these are the called for. I just forget where they came from. I think these are Gentle Arts too. Yep, the Gentle Art. These are really pretty. They're like really, they're like light, almost pastel, pretty colors. And the, oops, I got all bent up in the, oh, we're going to have lots of wrinkles on that. This is 32 count Country French Latte Linen. I think those colors are really pretty. And that's a nice small chart, so I don't think it would, well, I say I don't think it would take me very long. We'll see. So that would be also part of New Start November, and so would, hold on, I've got things in weird places, I'm sorry. Actually, I don't have anything to show you. I'm going to just show you the cover sheet. So a couple months ago, I started a Lord of the Rings sampler, and I also bought, oh, I didn't buy, it came as a free chart. I also bought a Harry Potter one. So the Harry Potter sampler would also be part of my New Start November, and then Waiting for Ships would also be there. So if you wanted me to do a New Start November, it would be Waiting for Ships, Tree of Hope, Harry Potter sampler, and He First Loved Us would be that grouping. So I'm just going to kind of, excuse me for reaching. And then if I did Mirabilia Ladies, is that how I did it? Mirabilia Ladies would consist of Cathedral Woods Goddess. I am doing her on a piece of Ancient from Picture This Plus. She would also be part of the One-Timers. So that's where I am on, whoop, that's where I am on her. And then I also have my Rose of Sharon. And I'm doing her on a Chromatic Alchemy 28 count Lugana. And I'm doing everything called for except for her hair, which I tried to convert to more auburn. Because I think she'll match Stargazer, and because I was auburn when I didn't have gray hair. So that's where I am on her. My plan was to get to the top where the arch is, and then just kind of work on this, and then try to work my way down, and then deal with the dress. But we'll see. Sometimes my plans, I start looking at the chart and decide I want to go a different way. And then if we did the ladies, it would be, this would be a new start. This would be Cathedral, I'm sorry, Forest Goddess. I already showed you Cathedral Woods Goddess. This was Stitchy Kindness from a lovely lady in one of my Facebook groups. I was going to do a trade. I was looking to see if anybody wanted to trade for Lilith. And this lady was super sweet and just sent it to me without having to trade for anything. So I passed Lilith on to somebody else, who then would pass on another chart, and we were trying to do, you know, the pay it forward kind of a thing. So that is what she looks like. Now this is, she's really more kind of like green tones and not yellow. I've seen her stitched on Facebook, and it's looks a little bit different. This picture is misleading. But I would be doing her on a piece of, now this is Monaco, I believe, and it's 28 count. There's no name of it. It's from the Crazy Hamster. Which, that is not going to come up at all. No. That color does not come up at all. You can't. It's like very pale pinks and very pale greens. So that would be one of the ladies, and also the kiss, which I do have a good chunk of progress on. Ooh, it's getting toasty in here. The weather's been weird. We're in a really bad drought, actually. It's been very, very dry. We had like 14 straight weekends of rain in the spring. And then we've had like nothing. We had one day of rain last week. It's not great. And it's been going, like for us, it's usually, I'd say high 60s, maybe 70s this time of year. But whew, we're going to get a frost tonight, and then it's going to be warm again. So this is the progress I have on the kiss. If you want me to work on the fancy ladies, it's going to be the Kiss, Rose of Sharon, Forest Goddess, and Cathedral Woods Goddess. And then the one-timers would be Cathedral Woods Goddess. Excuse me, I'm reaching again. As well as The Storyteller by Teresa Wensler. I'm doing this one just on an opal Lugana, and I think it goes this way. It's the tiny little start that I had when I took it out. I would like to get some more progress on that. That would be nice. And then also my, oops, what is this? This is Alchemical Wedding by Thread Geeks. Sorry, Leslie. Now I know what I just said earlier about doing full coverage, not on gridded, and so we'll see how it goes. I think I just got this on Amazon. I think it was just a plain white even weave of some sort. So that's the start that I had on that one. This is fairly, most of my Thread Geeks charts aren't really that big, but this one's pretty decent size. I like this one. It reminds me of my husband and I. Polar opposites. And then I'm also, if you chose the one-timers, would be working on Smoke from Firewing Designs, which I had decided not to stitch the words. And I think instead of getting, because it called for, because that's not a whole lot of stitches in there, but it must have called for, I don't remember, a lot, like 5 different metallics. And I was just like, I'm not going to do that. So I had some of the, like the DMC with a little bit of sparkle in it. So we'll see how that goes. And I also went way out of my comfort zone with this fabric. And this is a piece of lava linen, 28 count from Picture This Plus. Which that's fairly close. It's a nice darker color. Like that's way too bright. And I like some of it's 2/2, some of it's 1/2 to kind of get that like translucent look to it. And then I also was going to be Cathedral Woods Goddess, Smoke, Alchemical Wedding, and I believe I also planned to, I don't know what to do with it. I had it out a second ago, to work on, no, that was it. Smoke, that's 4. No, that's it. Okay, so let me just go over that again. If you want me to do a New Start November, that would be The Tree of Hope by Mirabilia, the Harry Potter sampler, Waiting for Ships by Mirabilia, and He First Loved Us from Big Toe Designs. If you want me to do Mirabilia Ladies, that's going to be The Kiss, Rose of Sharon, Forest Goddess, Cathedral Woods Goddess. Or if you want me to do the one-timers, that's going to be Smoke, Cathedral Woods Goddess, Alchemical Wedding, and The Storyteller. Okay, so please vote and tell me what you want me to work on. Now, for the Christmas giveaway, I have a couple of cute, these aren't super big, they're just super small. It's all going to go together. And it would be Lizzie and Kate's Cold Hands, Warm Heart. Along with Sisters and Best Friends, I think it must be St. Nick. Jolly Old St. Nick is one of them, and then Snowy Man is the other. So it would be 3 little smalls. And I thought since some of them had, like this one and this top one over here had blue, I have a piece of blue. Honestly, I'd have to take the gauge out to see. I'm not sure what count that is. But anyway, I thought that would work. So if you were interested in winning these, let's just put Christmas in your comment, and then I'll do a random comment picker to pick the winner when I do my wrap up next month. And so if you have no interest in what I'm going to stitch on in 2026, so you can just say goodbye, I am going to spin the wheel, and I'm going to pick 2 of my Heaven and Earth, 1 of my Black Swan designs, and then I have other designers, not full coverage. So, but how many of those was I going to choose? I was going to choose 4. Okay, so let's do this. That's the wrong phone. I need my old phone. And what I'll do is I'll just pause this or shut this off, and then I'll pull them all out and do a little quickie at the end. I'll add to it. So if I'm going to do other designers, all right, and I am picking 4 of these. So to see what this comes up with. Ooh, yay, Mayari. That is a Bella Filipina. That's my only Bella Filipina. And I'm going to hide that slice. Sorry, I've never really used this before, and we're going to spin again. So that's 1. First He Loved Us, which is on my list somewhere. I'll just scribble these down first. Slice. The only thing that is going to automatically go through, so that means I only get 1 more spin, is the mandala, the mini mandala by Chatelaine, because I have not stitched on that in forever. And if I don't learn those specialty stitches, I'm never going to be able to do my big one. So I get 1 more spin. Jesus. All right. And if I finish any of these over that 2026, I will just spin something out of the same category and add to it. Okay, so then I'm going to do my Heaven and Earth. I have 4 Heaven and Earth, and we're going to choose, this is doing something weird, 2. So Heaven and Earth, Heaven and Earth. Great. So let's see what we get. These are going to be the Heaven and Earth I stitched for 2026. Mini Day Night. And hide that slice, and we're going to pick 1 more. Mini Night Day is going to be a John Shannon year. And then I'm only going to pick 1 of my Black Swan because I only have 3 Black Swan designs. I do have a hope of which one it is. We'll see what happens. Oops. And a hope of which one it's not, but we'll see. Lily Pond Dreams. All right, that'll be a good one. Well, you've just seen the 2 Heaven and Earth designs, so I'm not going to show you those. But what I will do is I will shut this off. I will go pull out the other ones so I can show you what those are. And otherwise, if you're not interested in that, so I'll be back. Hi, sorry, just as a quick reminder for the giveaway, please make sure that you are 18 years or older. that you are a subscriber and that you are within the United States. Thank you. Okay, so these are the charts that I just spun for my 26th of 2026. And we've got Bella Filipina's Mayari. And I'm doing her on, I think this is Phantom. And picture this plus. This is one of my favorite fabrics. I almost wish it was opalescent, but it's pretty just the way it is. And so that's where I would be picking her up from. It's got slightly more purple tones to it that the camera doesn't really pick up. So that's my only Bella Filipina, so that will be fun to be able to work on that next year. And then I also, so I had 4 just like other designers in the group for other designers. It's Jesus, which Lady Lugana just did a finish and it came out great. She swapped out the fabric that came with the kit and used, I think, a linen. I'm not sure if it was a linen or a Lugana, but I'm just using what came in the kit. So that's where I would be starting that one from. I haven't worked on that one in a really long time. And then this was the only one that I gave like an automatic pass. I didn't even spin for this because I have not taken this out for a long time, and I have a large mandala Deep Blue Sea that's been kitted up now for a couple years, and I haven't dared even try to think about starting it because there's so many specialty stitches and things that I do not know how to do. That I thought if I did a small one or maybe even another small one just to really get some experience that would be helpful. So this is Mini Mandala Mystery 1, and I am doing this on just a navy linen. And I did put a little piece of green thread at the top so I know where the top was. And that's where I am on that. So I did get the whole center section done. And most of this was just back stitching and full stitches and some beads, except for these tiny little, I don't know what, honestly, I'm not sure if I don't remember what kind of stitches those are. That's how long it's been since I've taken it out. So I'm excited to get some work done on that. And then I picked 4 for other designers. So we had Mayari, Jesus. Oh, and you already saw He First Loved Us because I just showed you that one. And then of course you just saw my 2 Heaven and Earth designs too. So for 2026, my 2 Heaven and Earth designs are going to be Mini Day Night and Mini Night Day. And then my 1 Black Swan design is going to be Lily Pond Dreams. I was kind of hoping for Avatar to get picked, but it's because it's my favorite of the Black Swan charts. But this is my second favorite. So that's the progress on that one so far. So those are going to be some of my charts that pass on into 2026. And so I am done for the day. So I hope everybody has a really good October, and I will see you at the beginning of November. And don't forget, if you want to put in a comment for the Christmas giveaway, the code word is just Christmas. Take care. Bye.